and welcome to Ben's Junk, the show that just wafts through the airwaves like a bad fart. Yeah, of course, I had to go there. Well, before I start anything here, I should note that normally when I do a Ben's Junk, I have some notes beside me, and it's predetermined to a point. I usually know how it's going to end. But after taking this out of the box and even slightly beginning to play with it, I figured this would be better served by me just trying to do all this on camera, see how intuitive it is and all that. So yeah, this one's going to be, by Ben's Junk standards especially, even more loose and wonky than usual. And that's saying something. So anyway, this is a follow-up of sorts to a video I did 2 or 3 months ago now on a Midland WR400 weather radio. And I mentioned in that video that the main reason I picked it up is we have just had a terrible weather year this year. We've just had lots of storms, and severe to the point where power has gotten knocked out. We've had a handful of power outages this year, even in the city. So that prodded me into picking up that weather radio, largely because my first inclination has become in the last few years to just grab my smartphone and try and look up whatever information. Well, of course, you lose Wi-Fi when the power goes out, and sometimes the cell service goes wonky. And it's been especially bad these last couple of times. Like there's no bandwidth, or just something is going on that is keeping you from doing much of anything. And to add insult to injury, the last power outage we had, which wasn't super long, but it was still 3 or 4 hours, I figured, okay, well, I'll put that weather radio of mine truly to the test here. Went to dial in the weather radio station in the minuscule little town of Rowena, and it was gone. It got knocked out by the storm. And my phone wasn't doing me any good, and about half the radio stations around here got knocked out too. The half that did not get knocked out were just piping stuff in from somewhere else, whatever national feed. And one of them happened to be the main news radio news talk station here, but they were just piping in whatever talk show happened to be on at the moment. And so you couldn't get any information. And I figured, well, the law of averages would say that one of the 3 or 4 major TV stations would still be on and theoretically be doing some sort of weather coverage. Well, back in the old days in Colorado, growing up and staying there for years thereafter, I would just grab my little old handheld TV, which I've had since 1998. My parents got it for me for my birthday that year, and I've just held on to it because it works. Now, we haven't had analog TV since 2009, and certainly nothing of the sort around here, so it's been largely useless. But yeah, it still works for my little broadcasty, micro-broadcast experiments. But it made me miss this, because I can just grab this. It just runs on normal old batteries, and it's got a nice, decent built-in antenna, you know, just good, ready to go, easy. So, okay, well, what's the modern equivalent to that? As it turns out, there isn't. And so the best I could find were these portable TVs starting at 7 inches. And, well, you know, to me, that's kind of a strike right there. Well, okay, if I'm going to be stuck with at least a 7-incher, I want it to be able to double as some kind of very quick and easy monitor. And so I went looking around for something that would fulfill my needs. And as it turns out, most of these are kind of interchangeable. I went with this Tyler model, and I'll have to find the model number here. It is a TTV701-7, $90 on Amazon as of my picking this up, summer of 2022. But this seemed to be the best option. It has a signal strength meter in it, and it's got inputs and outputs, strangely enough. I'm not sure what I'd want an output for, but I guess so. And it just, Antenna Man had a review on the previous model of this, and it looked decent enough. So I just took the plunge and picked it up, and upon getting it, it's just like, well, this is going to be better served by me just trying to set it up on camera and just us trying to do this together. See just how intuitive it is. So with that, you'll notice I have not taken the film off the screen, so we will have our little ASMR moment, but not for a few minutes yet. So before we start really getting into this, let's try and run down what I've been able to just deduce visually. So on the sides, starting at the top, 1/8" headphone jack, AV output and AV input, and yeah, I guess if I want to daisy chain something, a spot for an adapter, be it an AC adapter or a thing for a cigarette lighter in the car. And then on this side, now this fooled me a bit. I went and bought a HDMI to USB adapter because Amazon was saying that there is no HDMI input on this, but there is USB. So, okay, well, theoretically, I should be able to just use an adapter. Well, sure enough, I get it, and it has both. So, yeah, USB and HDMI. So I guess I'm going to have to return that. Can't think of anything else I would ever use it for. But then again, I am kind of the king of the adapter, so maybe I'll just hang on to it just to have it, so 25 years or so down the road, maybe I'll have a reason to bust it out. And we got buttons and stuff along the front, none of which I've really played with, so we'll leave that for later. Now, there were plenty of goodies in that there box, and it was, of course, your nice, tightly cramped box, so this is going to suck if I want to store this for any period of time, because I'm going to have to take it apart. So anyway, I'll give it this much. They went all out with the paperwork here, so not only did I get a normal old user guide, this is the first time I've ever bought anything that came with a service manual, if you want to call it that, service leaflet. But it does have an exploded diagram, which I guess would be useful because this sucker does not run on just normal old off-the-shelf batteries. It's some funky lithium-ion rechargeable deal. So I guess if we run out of power for any extended period of time and I burn out the battery on this, guess I'll be hanging out in the car and hoping I don't destroy my car battery. But yeah, I guess I might need this if I ever need to replace the battery. And lastly, another first, schematics. Granted, tiny schematics that even if you had a magnifying glass on hand, the resolution is bad to the point where it just becomes a blur. But I guess if you're good at reading block diagrams, which I definitely am not, but hey, you know, they were sort of thinking of us. Otherwise, we've got the AC adapter. I hate these generic little Chinese remotes. I haven't found one yet that I thought was even remotely well organized. So I'm sure I'll beat my head against the wall with this, or just do as much as I can just hitting buttons on the TV, which is probably more practical anyway. I mentioned the cigarette lighter adapter, and it's the cheapest one I've ever felt. This thing is just, there's nothing to this. Otherwise, let's see here, so many toys. Let's talk antennas for a bit here. So the main port on the top of this is a quick connect. Well, if you have a screw-on sort of thing, that's kind of a problem, and that is one of the ones they gave you. But they also gave you this handy little adapter. So we got a quick connect on one side and a regular old threaded thing on the other. This is a pretty cheap one though. There is little if any shielding on this. This thing is just super thin. I own a fair amount of quick connect stuff already, so it's not like I need to use this. Now, as for the antennae, however you want to look at it, screw on, which I guess would be the most likely thing I were to use if I just needed the thing real nice and fast, just a tuner, really quickly. I found this kind of baffling. So we got one of these little deals that you would normally see with like a cheap digital radio. And it's supposed to be a suction cup according to the manual, but it is not. It's just hard plastic. It doesn't stick to anything. It doesn't help at all. It's just flimsy. But then they give you a much more substantial antenna. So I don't know. There's allegedly an FM radio built in. I guess maybe this would be good for that. Who knows? But yeah, we got that. And of course, since it's a standard connector, standard-ish connector, theoretically I could hook up any antenna I want and boosters and whatever else. Otherwise, I mentioned that this has HDMI, well, yeah, it does have HDMI, but AV support. But they do it a little differently. So like on my old Sony camcorder, it's 1/8 inch on one side and then composite, RCA composite video and stereo audio male on the other. But here we're doing female, so you'll still have to supply your own regular old set of these suckers. Now, I was just about ready to EOL this thing before even using it because going through the manual, it makes it seem like you can have the option of using a kickstand or a normal stand. So I foolishly just put on the kickstand and it was a little stiff trying to get on and I didn't like it. It just, as you can see, there's just nothing to it. So the thing, the slightest gust of wind can just take it out. But the, whatever you want to call this, the shaft, if you will, is slightly too big. So you kind of have to half force it on there. Well, you're pretty much married to it then. So I wound up having to just take the thinnest screwdriver I've got and just put a little white lithium grease down there just to eventually weasel the damn thing back out. But yeah, I'm not touching that again. And then of course you've got, as advertised, the stand. And as I've already mentioned, I'm not too thrilled at the prospect of having to dismantle it for storage. But anyway, if I get the toys out of the way and I'll worry about the stuff that fell off the table later, I guess we need to have our little ASMR moment. So give me a moment, I'll take off my mic, I'll get it nice and close, and we'll have a little eargasm. It likes to play rough. Well, that didn't quite go as planned. Oh well. So much for good gags. All right, just to establish things briefly here, I just want to go over my basic setup. So for one, I had to tape the TV to the table because the weight of the cables kept making it shift around. And yeah, I went whole hog with this. I also have allowed my camera to go into full tilt automatic gain control mode because I turned off my studio lighting. I'll turn it on briefly here. Just because this room is already a bit of a Faraday cage at the best of times, but when that studio lighting is on, I can't get anything. I can't get any radio stations or anything, so yeah, we gotta adapt here. So anyway, as I mentioned, I went whole hog with this setup just in the name of hopefully getting a complete-ish list of local channels in the TV's memory, I guess. I assume there's some sort of memory in there. So the setup is, instead of using one of the stock antennas, I decided to do my kind of ghetto thing. We've got rabbit ears, and that's a Western exposure. And the TV stations are west of me, but it's north by northwest for the most part. So it's not a great shot. It's the best I can do. There is no real line of sight here. And that is going to an antenna booster, which is going to... I had to use the little adapter cable that came with the TV. My quick connects were too big, so you're kind of stuck with the little unshielded thing that came with it. But that is going into the TV. Hopefully we can get a decent list of channels. My goal is to have the 3 major networks here. If I can get CBS, ABC, NBC, so KELO and KSFY and KDLT, not necessarily in that order, those are the ones that would have the weather coverage should something happen. So I think we're good here. I'll take a quick cut, I'll sit back down, and we'll just have at it. I have had this TV on once just to make sure it powers on. Now, whether or not I get the screen, that initial setup screen, again, is anyone's guess here. But we'll just have at it. Let's see if I don't destroy it. Okay, so far so good. And the levels are probably not going to be accurate in terms of color and so on. Not too bad. It's blue to my eye. Nope, it jumped straight to no signal, as I kind of feared. So I don't even know what mode we're in right now. Okay, TV. So that is a thing. Now let's see if I can intuitively get it to scan. Let's see, that's a power. I probably should have hit menu, huh? So we'll let it boot back up there. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. Let's do an auto scan. Let's see, which is the select? No? Okay. We'll just do, well, software update. Well, I have nothing to update it with at the moment. We'll just see what happens here. Let's see, okay. Are you sure to auto scan? Oh, goody, English, my favorite. Well, that's not helpful at all. Got the arrows there, but it doesn't tell me. I'll try the menu, see what happens. So I'll hit the arrow right button, see if that does anything. Nope. So maybe something in the affirmative. Oh, that's volume. Well, according to the manual, I was doing it right. The volume button does double as the right arrow, and it also mentions right arrow as well. But I am just not having a hell of a lot of luck. Now it works. Except that's not what I really wanted. That's a whole nother menu. Okay, I missed a step. You're supposed to hit OK. And it's times like this I really wish that I could have the studio lighting on, because it's completely killing the stuff around it. It's picking up the TV proper OK. So we're rolling along here. For the life of me, I don't know how many channels there are around here. But 9 so far, which actually doesn't sound too far off from reality. As I've mentioned, as long as it gets the 3 biggies, that's my thing. And it does have an analog tuner in there. I suppose I should have hooked up KLAK. Okay, well, there's something. Oh, that's lovely. It's always trash, isn't it? Both in terms of the signal and the content. Okay, where's my volume? Okay, let's see what we get. It said it was on Kello there, so that's CBS. Okay, My TV, or as I like to call it, the Judge Judy network. Ion, I haven't seen that in a while. Escape, I've never even heard of that. KDLT, which is NBC, on channel 46. Oh, one of those Camp Lejeune ads. Okay, it said Fox there. So we have Fox. Antenna TV, good. I'll have to see if I can get that aspect ratio right. Antenna TV is normally in 4:3. Cozy. And the Munsters. Court. Ugh. Wait, you have Court over air now? I always knew that as a cable channel. Okay, well, no KSFY though. So no ABC. So I'm going to actually do another scan. I'm going to just mess around a bit with the antenna. We'll take another shot at, we'll see if I do any better than just 9 channels, because we are missing one of the 3 major networks. Well, it took me a trip outside and me marching around like a total imbecile, more so than usual, to get it to dial in more channels. And as it turns out, I think it was 25. I didn't think we had that many. And a lot of stuff that I didn't know existed, stuff that the cable company does not carry. I didn't realize we had a Laugh affiliate here, which I used to watch periodically in Colorado. But, well, it's not going to pick up much of anything, but I was able to get it to acknowledge the 3 major networks. But this TV, SBN, which I'm not sure what it was, it appeared to be religious. Laugh. We're not going to get most of this indoors here. Bounce. Grit. First time I've seen that one. Defy, which seemed to be religious as best as I can tell. TR Real, which I think was true crime stuff. Newsy, which was some really cheap-looking cable news-esque thing. Quest, which I couldn't get in well enough to figure out. Soon, it was just a placeholder saying there will be a channel on this frequency soon. KSFY, that's one of our big affiliates. And also sister channel to Me TV. CW's in there. There's Me TV. Obviously not picking it up indoors. But yeah, KWSD, PBS, I think. Either that or one of the movie channels, I forget. Fox. MyNet, another CBS, but I could not get it to acknowledge anything even outdoors. Now, I should note there's a lot of trees around here. So, a lot of old growth trees. So, even if I went the rooftop antenna route, it would be kind of a mess. Yeah, it just seems to have its favorites, but let's see if I can't do anything about antenna TV. That just annoys me. So let's see if we can't get this sucker to dial in the right aspect ratio. Okay, so I want auto. There we go. At least it's got it in order finally. So of course the commercials are all going to be postage stamp vision, but when the show kicks back in, which with my luck, it probably just went to commercial. We're 7 minutes after the hour here. Yeah, at least that looks right. I think that's the only 4x3 station we have. So far, so good. Okay, there's an... Well, Cozy is 16x9, but they'll pillar box the appropriate stuff. Yeah, it looks like I've got it set correctly here. Within the limited realm of what I can pick up in here. Now, if the power went out, I'd probably, assuming the weather wasn't horrible, I'd go outdoors or just roam around till I found a good spot. Obviously, this is not something I'd be using with a normal rig at any time. It's just not practical for me to do so. But yeah, so far so good. Let's see if there's any other goodies in here before I start hooking things up. I'll have to check for software updates online. I assume they want me to download it to a flash drive and then stick it in. That's the only thing I can think of. There is no internet connectivity in here. Now, I was going to say there is a signal detector in here. Let's see if I can't get back to one of the stations that works. Let's see if we can't get back to antenna TV. That seems to be the most reliable. It's certainly my go-to. Okay, oh, we got wings right now, and I'm sure Paramount will be just thrilled with me. So let's see if we can't get that down to the signal strength meter. It'd be nice if I could get a more accurate reading on that, but it just doesn't seem to be a thing. Now it's saying bad. Okay. Well, I'll play with some of this stuff elsewhere, but just out of the box, if the angle is right, the picture is fine. But like any little TV, and you know, even my old ones were like that. You have to have it just right for it to work, so to speak. So yeah, I'm gonna call that successful enough for the time being. It crossed the threshold for what I wanted to accomplish with this TV. So I'll take a cut here and we'll start hooking stuff up and we'll see how it reacts to whatever I can throw at it. Okay, before I move on to the next set of tests, I was trying to do the setup thing with this and, you know, set the time and all, and I managed to accidentally start another channel scan again indoors and I couldn't stop it. And so I wound up having to take this back outdoors again and stand around like a schmuck. And this time I was able to get 50 channels recognized with this. So now I'm just kind of pissed at the cable company. I mean, they don't have to carry all the sub channels, but it would sure be nice. So anyway, I did miss one broadcasty thing with this, and that is there is, and I mentioned this, FM radio built in. We'll just test it out with the antenna that I've already got going. I'm gonna have to shut the studio lights off again. I'm amazed the TV is holding up as well as it is with the studio lights on. So anyway, let's get to FM and we'll just see what happens here. Let's see if I can just come up with some tuning. Okay, there's volume, so it doesn't change any. But it's like it wants me to do a scan for radio, which seems kind of strange. But we'll see what happens. We'll give it the old acid test that I always do with radio stuff. Okay, we're up to 106.9, so we're just about out of stations here. It annoys me that I can't seem to figure out how to do a manual scan with this, but it looks like it got the high power stuff around here. So 88.1, that's one of the NPR stations. And I believe 88.1 and 89.1 are the same. 90.1, which is Christian. 92.5, I believe, is country. Not that I have the volume up, partially for copyright reasons. Let's get one of the good stations. So Tommy Two-Tone there. It did not get 98.7. It did not get 93.3, as I kind of feared it wouldn't. Gets 102.7, one of the big uber corporate stations. Does not get either instance of Kello, the talk station, though. But whatever. It was worth a shot. I can always go outside and play with it, but I could just use one of my better radios, an AM FM one at that. So anyway, I've got this already hooked up for my bedroom Blu-ray player. I took it out just for the occasion here, and let me get my studio lights back on since I don't care about reception now. Okay. Let's try out HDMI here. We've done FM. I have my bedroom Blu-ray player hooked up just special for the occasion here. And funnily enough, I was having so much trouble with the antenna earlier, keeping it in. Now it's like it's stuck. How about that? Okay, there we go. 480. Does this do HD? Yes, actually it does. 1080. Okay, I just grabbed the first Blu-ray thing at my disposal, my Criterion issue of 2-lane blacktop here, and we'll just keep the clips short, and of course it helps that it's off a screen and not direct feed footage here for the benefit of our YouTube overlords. So let's see what we get here. Now I tested this on my regular TV just a moment ago, so it may try and pick up where I left off. We'll see what it gives me. These Criterion discs usually have kind of a special screen saying, do you want to pick up at such and such a point? Okay, I see the logo. Yeah, it's asking me to resume playback. No, let's just jump back to the menu, see how it handles it. Okay, I saw the screen, I'm seeing that screen glitch. That's not happy. I don't like that. Is it interference? Yeah, there's a connection problem. That's not good. Does not like, this is the same cable. I just took this from the bedroom, same cables and everything. But yeah, it's farting along. That does not enthuse me, because I'd like to use this partially as a test for HDMI stuff when I need to. And that, that does not encourage me. That thing's just sputtering. We'll see how it handles the movie. Yeah. That connection is not what it should be. So I may very well have to go online, see maybe if it's a firmware thing, because I don't have problems with this cable on any other machine. Connections are solid. Nothing's loose. Everything seems nice, but yeah, that does not make me a happy camper at all. Okay, well, that's one more thing for me to try and get to the bottom of, I suppose. So let's try out the AV stuff and we'll call it a day here. All right, just quickly here before I go into the AV stuff, I just for a lark decided to throw in a normal DVD as opposed to a Blu-ray. And I just grabbed the first thing I saw. It's a Kevin Brownlow documentary I've been revisiting lately. And it's not spazzing on this. I haven't had any glitches. So I'm wondering if it's a data rate thing. If it can handle the data rate on a standard DVD, and this is a very compressed DVD. They crammed a 5-hour documentary onto one disc. I'm wondering if it's just not liking the heavy data rates from Blu-ray, because now it's not spazzing. I guess there's only one way to do this and see if I get a different result. We'll just quickly swap out one last time for 2-lane blacktop and see what happens. Stand by. Okay, I've got 2-lane blacktop back in. We'll just let it resume playback when it asks. And see if it tries to spaz out on me. There is audio, it's just a very quiet movie. Now it's not spaz. Oh, it spazzed. Yeah. I wonder if that's not a data rate thing, so don't want to do anything high def with it apparently. All right, now let's try out some AV stuff. Okay, let's move on to AV here. Turn on, this is just my little portable DVD player, which really exists to play non-Region 1 stuff. It's my hacked player. Okay, so far so good. And we'll give it a less compressed DVD. This is just the movie, and the Riff Tracks commentary works like an audio commentary, like a director's commentary. You can just flick it on and off. It's not separate files. So I have a feeling it's going to handle this a lot better than HDMI. Make sure I have my remote handy here. And I may have to dink with the aspect ratio on this. I already did it for the TV, as you saw, but I guess it might not carry over. We'll see how it handles it. Yep, so I'll have to dig through the settings and try and find what I need here. Aspect ratio and okay, so I guess I have to manually set it for 4:3. That's no fun. But I'm not seeing any spazzes. Audio seems, you'll have to take my word for it, but the audio seems decent. Of course, I picked this. This was at the front of the line behind that documentary from the last time I needed a DVD to test on archive. Yeah, it's not spazzing or anything on me. But, yeah, I think we're good. All right. Actually, before we daisy chain out, I want to try using a flash drive to play files on. And since we're doing the Riff Tracks thing, when I buy a Riff Tracks, I prefer hard copies, but you can't always get them. So when I have to download them, they just live on this 256 gig flash drive. So let me, while on my microphone leash here, get that plugged in. We'll just let this ride for now, the DVD player. So let's get this to Flash Media. And it's the same layout as the cloner box. Oh, nightmares never end. I hate that setup. Let's see what we got here. And sometimes if I have more demanding archive episodes, I'll put them on here too. Stuff where I'd like to see it on a big screen and hear it through a decent sound system. Those episodes. But we'll just pick a riff tracks here and see what it gives me. Blood Theater, that's a classic, isn't it? I think that's the same guy that did Hobgoblins, isn't it? Okay, I hit OK. Okay, so it does the same thing that my cloner box does. You have to hit it just right. So I guess I put the remote down, so hold tight, I'll find the remote. Well, that kind of annoys me. I hate being dependent on a remote. Okay. I'm hitting buttons and nothing is happening. I did test this remote earlier. Okay, now it wants to work. It's like you have to hit it in some weird ultra-specific spot. Maybe the studio lights are interfering too. Anything can happen. Does it like it better when they're off? Yep. Well, maybe not. No, you have to hit it just in that special spot. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Okay, if I select it, will it go there? Or I'll have to hit play, I suppose. Come on. There we are. Boy, that annoys me. That's the one thing I don't like about my cloner box, which doubles as my DVR. There we are. And I don't think there are chapters on the downloads. So there we go. Yeah, it's one of those annoying deals where you have to hit it. Is this it? Nope. Well, it works well enough. All right, so now let me dig out the PVM. We'll try a daisy chain experiment with this. Okay, well, let's end this on a very irritating note. So I have learned that it will only pass a signal using the supplied 1/8" to composite female adapter. You cannot use anything else. So I can run in or out with just that, but the instant I try and daisy chain, forget it. Nothing happens. I've got VHS hooked up right now. I thought maybe it's being picky about I guess you could say lines of resolution. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it was the best I could think of. And it appears to not be a concern. So yeah, it is trying to feed into the PVM right now, but it just ain't happening. So a rather irritating note to end this on. I'll have to see if I can score another one of those adapters online and see if that works. I don't think that's worth making an update video about. But yeah, boy, this little TV is a frustrating little sucker. I think it'll, at the very least, help me when the power goes out. I'll have to kind of walk around till I can lock in a signal. But yeah, I've done what I can with this. Yeah, I am frustrated with this sucker, and I'm tired of dealing with it right now. So I guess the real acid test will be the next time there's a power outage. Anyway, that is going to be it for me today. I will talk to you again soon.